Yeah! Hit it like that. I'm back with some more stuff. Some of it interesting-ish. Sound sync in 3, 2. Of all the many adventures we've had, obviously we're out filming these things for, oh God, weeks. And not all of it can go in the show, clearly. Years and years ago, we did a thing in the North Pole, and I was on a dog sledge, and James and Jeremy were in a pickup truck. You may have seen it. If not, it was brilliant. But my bit was best. Necessarily, my bit got cut down quite heavily. So at one point, we'd been lost, me and an explorer, a lady called Matty, had been lost with the dog sledge. And by the way, you don't sit on a dog sledge. I'd had this vision of sitting there majestically sweeping through an Arctic landscape, but no, you don't, you run along behind it or ski off it. And we got lost in a blizzard, and we found a polar research site and sat in there. And it was like, I remember saying, it was like being on the moon. It was just impossibly remote, and none of that went in. And I had a colossal accident falling off the back of the sledge. I had been riding on the back of the sledge briefly, and as it carried away from me, the whip was trailing behind it, and I looped it round my arm, and it dragged me along on my face on the ice behind it. None of that went in the show. Instead, we just watched two fat men in a pickup truck drinking gin. I'm over it now. Water under the bridge. It's a standard answer, we always say this. When we filmed in Botswana, we made what was effectively our first ever special. And I had Oliver, my little yellow Opel, that I still have at home in the garage. And we were driving across the Makadikati salt flats towards Kubu Island, which was an island sticking out of what was a sea. And now it's a little mound in the middle of these salt flats, glistening white. And on that mound are growing baobab trees. It's not very car-y this, I'm really sorry, but I've always wanted to see baobab trees since I was a kid. They were in my encyclopedia of nature. They're like the upside down trees, the thick trunk ones, and they were on Kubu Island, and I stood next to a baobab tree and I put my hand on its flank, and it was like touching history, because I think it would have been thousands of years old, and it was incredible. That's like not very cool, is it? All right, it was on the Bonneville Salt Flats in a Dodge Challenger. I've made a lot of TV. I've been doing this too many years. I don't know what a favourite would be. Because it's not for me to favour one, is it? I mean, I remember once talking to a mop with a face drawn on it in the course of making Total Wipeout. I thought that was like really, yeah. I mean, if it's favourite for me, favourite experience, God. Did I think about Colin? Oh God, I was driving a Lotus. No, I don't know. I don't have favourites. Yeah, well, let's be quite clear. I've driven at 319 and crashed really badly. Where's the arms race going to go with speed? I don't know. These things, it was like a pulse. It happened with motorbikes, exactly the same. You get a race for the biggest amount of power and the highest top speed. Then those just become numbers, and it fades, and you're after something else, luxury or comfort or probably economy. So I think it'll go towards something else. I think it'll peak at that. I don't think we're all going to be travelling between home and work at 450 miles an hour anytime soon. My worst memory from filming with the other two for, I think it's the last 55 years, something like that, is all the bits where I was conscious and they were there. That's largely, there's been a lot of low points. The adventures that we have when we make the specials and continue to make them, you know, if we say we're camping, we are. There isn't a hotel around the corner, because we're in a desert, or in a glacier, or in a jungle. There's no option. Worst bit was in Bolivia. I was driving a Land Cruiser that you couldn't close the windows of, and it had a canvas roof, and every time I went past a tree, it would drop everything that was on it into the car. Every insect would leap about, and there was something that lived in my dash and regularly leapt out and went and scared the bejesus out of me. And worse still, setting off on one evening for an 8-hour drive from one location to the next. We weren't filming even, we were just making ground from one campsite to the next. I got in my car, looked up, huge spider on the roof. I got the expedition doctor to look at it, and she said, "Oh, that's a brown recluse. They're very dangerous, like they necrotize your flesh off." So, got rid of it, drove on. About 5 minutes later, I felt a thud on my left shoulder, and there's this spider. Yeah! Hit it like that. I had no brakes or clutch in the car. The only way to stop it was turning the ignition off. So I turned the ignition off, opened the door in one, threw myself out, and then realised, oh my God, I knocked it off into the car. So I had an 8-hour drive through the night with a deadly spider in the car. That was bad. If you want to hear more from me, and why wouldn't you, comment below. It's probably like there somewhere. There.